When I was young, I went with my parents on a long road trip to visit Rome. Of course, I was not living in California at the time. It would be difficult to reach Rome by car from here. Nor did I do any of the driving, which was probably fortunate since I was less than a year old. I have no real memories of this visit to Rome. I rely only on the photographs and 16mm movies taken, as well as the stories told by my parents. But in a strange way, I have always felt that this trip left a profound mark on my life. I would not see Rome again until many years later, when I returned there for studies in the 1970s. This was the 1950s, though, and there was a brand new Pope in Rome, a truly extraordinary man who took the name of John the 23rd. My mother has always been proud of the fact that Pope John blessed me, and it is that blessing which, I suspect, has helped me through life. My parents were in for some culture shock during that visit. Now, at that time, church in America was quite a rigid and solemn affair. You knelt straight and silent in church, women with their heads covered, and everyone with their serious faces buried in serious prayer books. It would have been scandalous to dare to crack a smile or to greet anyone. The sign of peace had not yet been introduced. Of course, the thought of clapping in church would have been absolutely unthinkable. Only those wild Pentecostals and Baptists down the street did crazy things like that. No, in an American Catholic church, all was serious, serious business. And one glance at the dour, unsmiling faces of the worshippers left no doubt that we were still very much in the land of the old Puritans. My mother, therefore, was shocked to find that the good Italian Catholics of Rome felt no such constraints. True to their wonderfully spontaneous and expressive nature, they applauded and cheered wildly right in church whenever the beloved Pope was brought in, whenever they heard something they liked, or whenever they felt so moved. Theirs was a faith that was linked to unbridled enthusiasm, expressive, heartfelt, and very, very human. A faith through which the Spirit could move quite freely. Today, of course, even in many parts of the much more somber American church, you will find more spontaneity and expressiveness. We dare to smile if there is something to smile at. We dare to laugh if something is funny. We dare to greet if there is someone to greet. And when we congratulate someone on their special day or welcome a visitor, when a beautiful piece of music moves us or a message touches our hearts, we are no longer afraid to express our feelings in the most natural human way. We applaud. This is not a mere formality, an expected politeness, nor is it an interruption of what is happening, but rather a participation, an embracing, our enthusiastic answer to the voice of God, not a period, but an exclamation point at the end of the sentence. The ancient psalm comes to life in us. Clap your hands, all you people. Shout to God with loud songs of joy. It was in the liturgies of Africa that I experienced the fullness of participation, the fullness of presence, the fullness of expression. There, the Sunday Mass is not something to be sat through, something to be endured like a tedious workday, but rather a very real and wholehearted encounter with the divine, a joy and enthusiasm bursting from the human person in every conceivable way, in loud and exuberant song, in ecstatic dance, and in an unstoppable clapping of hands. It was here that I learned the meaning of praise. Two women met. From deep inside one, the human recognized the divine deep inside the other and leapt for joy. In one of the most striking, one of the most beautiful, one of the most eloquent human responses to the divine ever recorded, John the Baptist, even from his mother's womb, saw through the veil of human flesh and knew immediately he was in the presence of God. Unable to contain his excitement, he burst into applause, jumped up and down for joy, and his ovation burst through the walls of the womb into the spirit-filled voice of his mother in exuberant praise of both God and the one in whom God was hidden. We are, all of us, in the womb of earthly existence, confined by the flesh, but waiting to burst the bars of that womb and be born to something far greater. Yet even now we have moments, awesome moments, when, like the unborn prophet, we encounter the presence of the divine and recognize it instinctively. When confronted with those powerful God moments, when suddenly we realize that God is right here with us, speaking to us, walking with us, living and laughing and weeping with us, when all at once our eyes are opened and we see that God has come to us in the form of the person next to us, when all around us we finally recognize each human heart as the bearer of God, then we understand the somersaults of that cheering baby in the womb. Clap your hands and jump for joy. God is near. God is here. Applaud his birth into your world.